Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words. Today, at the request of a donor, we are putting some new avatar cards through their paces in the Legacy format. First up, Katara Waterbending Master. 2 mana for a 1/3. Whenever you cast a spell during your opponent's turn, you get an experience counter. That stays on you and not the creature. And then whenever it attacks, you draw a card for each experience counter and then you discard a card. So this can hopefully generate us some pretty strong value going forwards. Is it better than something like the Beanstalk? Probably not. But the way in which we have to build our deck with this card in is very different. So it's not exactly just like a worse version of the card that exists. It's kind of its own unique thing. And I have seen some reanimator decks using this because of the discard mode, which is pretty cool. The other card is Wan Shi Tong Librarian. X blue for a flash, flying vigilance 1/1. When it enters, put X +1/+1 counters on him, then draw half X cards rounded down. So a bit like a Hydroid type thing. But it also has a static ability. Whenever an opponent searches their library, put a +1/+1 counter on Wan Shi Tong and draw a card. So we might be able to get some extra cards out of this one, and it could be quite an interesting one, considering how many fetches are around. I don't really think this card looks that exciting to me in the Legacy format, but if we can make it work, that'd be sweet. The rest of this deck is just the good spells in these colours, really. So we've got Tamiyo, of course, because we're a blue deck. We've got a couple of Barrowgoyfs to beat down with. We've got our Bowmasters. We've got removal in the form of Go for the Throat and Snuff Out and Fatal Push, so we're quite removal heavy to make sure our Katara can keep doing its thing. We've got Daze and Force of Will, so we can play our stuff on our opponent's turn, the turn we cast, or the turn cycle we cast Katara. We've got Brainstorm. This particular list that I was sent, I think it was a 5-0 run from Death from Above, I think was the username. We have to check that one. But I'm surprised not to see a Ponder in here. They're really just trying to lean into Katara. I do love the Spell Pierce though. This card is pretty good in Legacy right now. And we got a few Delighted Halflings since we're in green anyway, so this can help us get some uncounterable like Kataras and Wan Shi Tongs, as well as uncounterable Tamiyo. And it can ramp out an earlier Barrowgoyf. And we do have an Assassin's Trophy to sort of answer any problem permanents we may run across. Mana base wise, we've got a couple of Wastelands in there. We've got a Surveil land, a couple of basics, and that's about it. As for the sideboard, we've got some counter magic of varying stripes, whether it's red spells or colour spells, or just negating stuff. We've got another Barrowgoyf when we need more threat, some Graveyard Hate in the form of Surgical, Artifact Hate in Null Rods, and then we've got a smattering of different removal that can hit other things. And that is what we're playing today. I'm curious to see how these cards actually feel, because there's only so much you can glean from looking at a card. You do just have to put it on the battlefield and see how it goes. And that's what we're doing today. So please remember to like and subscribe and consider becoming a YouTube member for just $1 a month, and then you get to see my content early. Or you can become a Patreon member to support me as well. Okay, let's see if this Katara really is a master of Legacy or not. With Christmas almost here, there's no better place to buy Magic the Gathering products than 3-for-1 Trading. They boast an enormous array of singles and sealed products to help you complete your pre-modern and Legacy collections. Whether you are looking for a gift for that special someone or just want to treat yourself, be sure to use the code COW3 on your first order over $500 for free worldwide shipping. Our first opening hand doesn't have any lands, which isn't a great sign. We've got 19 lands in our deck, which is a pretty reasonable number when only 2 of them are Wastelands. That's 17 mana producing lands, but we don't have Ponder, so maybe we should be going up to 20 to cover for that. But we'll find out. This is still just the first round, and we just need to wait for our mulligan button. Our second hand looks a lot better to me. We get to keep this one. Maybe we'll bin off one of the Brainstorms. I quite like having these things anyway. A Ponder. But I like to get my Undercity Sewers in. Or do I want to hold up a Fatal Push? I think I want my Undercity Sewers in. We're probably not Fatal Pushing anyway. I don't think we need this land. What we don't want to happen here is our opponent to Wasteland us and play a threat. Like Tamiyo or something. As a Wasteland, that's half of that equation. But if they just Wasteland and pass, that's not so bad. Tamiyo. So it's the exact sequence of plays that I was worried about. Not the best for us. We have a Brainstorm here. Okay, I'm just going to Fatal Push here. If they're going to Brainstorm, that they at least have to Brainstorm in a way that's not going to help them out with their fetch land, because they would need to Daze this to keep this alive. If they force, then they're going to force anyway. Undercity Sewers. I wonder if our opponent is on Reanimator or just like a fair tempo plan. Fatal Push suggests they're on a tempo deck. Nethergoyf confirms it. Good to know. A Tamiyo of our very own. I don't think I need to get the Tamiyo out just yet. I don't really want to be the first person to play out an Orcish Bowmasters. We can hold up a Brainstorm if that's the best out for us here. Okay, so we're going to get a Kaito in. Kaito is obviously a a pretty annoying object to interact with. It has hexproof, so we can't ping it with any Bowmaster things this turn. They're going to draw a card, and we're going to get our Bowmasters in, so at least it's going to grow, and then we can pressure it on our turn. This might eat a counterspell. It did not. So we pick off our opponent for 1 and get 1/1. They're going to Surveil 2, then draw a card, so then we're going to have 1, 2, 3 damage here. So we can use the Bowmaster to finish off the Kaito. I'd really like to find another land. Did not find the land. I'm going to Brainstorm here, looking to hit a land. So we need to do a little bit of catching up here. If we miss completely on lands... Okay, we did not miss completely on lands. That is good news. So this time we're just going to play the Bowmasters. I don't think we want the Delighted Halfling, and then we can just preserve this Tamiyo on top of our library. I'll deploy a basic. We don't need to show them green mana. Let's go for a Bowmasters. So we can shoot them for 1 here. And then these two are doing enough damage to kill the Kaito. We have 2 Bowmasters, so even if they have 1, we still have our shields up a little bit. The Go for the Throat is going to be pretty good because it can kill all their black creatures. A Nile Spellbomb. Sure. If they want to draw a card of that, we're going to get a bunch of pings. A Nethergoyf. We have a clean answer for that in this Go for the Throat. We can also Tamiyo Brainstorm and just be away here. Not really seeing the new cards, unfortunately, which is what we'd really like to see, but it is what it is. Are they going to be drawing some card action off this or not? They are. I don't want to go for the Throat right now using this mana because we need blue and blue for our other plan. So we are just going to Bowmaster and ping them a bunch. They're trying to stop us from deploying a Murktide. Okay, let's go for the Throat here. Just nail this Nethergoyf. Perhaps Tamiyo. Good attacks. We're cracking in for loads of damage here. I am going to Brainstorm now to avoid risking our opponent having a Bowmaster or something. We don't need this, and we'll put this on top to preserve it. Tamiyo flips, then we plus the Tamiyo. We've got this clock ticking as well as our massive amount of creatures. We can snuff out some creatures, so if they go for like a Tamiyo or a Murktide Regent, we can nail that one with a Snuff Out. Brainstorm is a pretty sketchy proposition for our opponent, so playing a Tamiyo and trying to flip it, unlikely to be a direction they head in. We are getting Thought Seized. We lose our Snuff Out, but that does put our opponent to dead on board. The Tamiyo can buy back the Snuff Out next turn if they go for a Murktide here. A black mana. This is going to be a removal spell, killing our Orc army. That does relieve the pressure somewhat. However, the top of our deck is going to be a bit of a banger here. Okay, we're just going to get back the Snuff Out. Snuff Out is Tamiyo. Bash. And then we can play a Goyf around a Daze. This does give them an option to potentially remove our Tamiyo using a Bowmaster. But Tamiyo's already gotten a card for us. So it's already pulled some weight here. The Bowmaster does give them the ability to block for a little bit. Is this just going to be a Murktide? Is it going to be big enough? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be a 7 power guy. So it will trade with our Barrowgoyf. If they have a Fatal Push here, that could be pretty good. It's a Nethergoyf. We know the top card of our library, we know it's bad. Not a wonderful spot to be in. So we can plus this. They can just get in with the Murktide Regent. But then we get in for free with the Barrowgoyf. If we attack with the Barrowgoyf, they trade with the Murktide Regent, they're left with a Nethergoyf. Doesn't feel great for us. I think we have to hold back this turn. If they attack with the Murktide, then we can attack with the Barrowgoyf. If they don't attack with the Murktide, then the Tamiyo continues to go up. So we put them in an awkward position. If they go fetch land into Fatal Push, that can be pretty problematic. I assume this Murktide is going to deal with the Tamiyo. Yep, that's fine. We factored in on that. Tamiyo has saved us 7 life and drawn us a card. Can't really ask for more for 1 mana. They've got a Wasteland. They can take out our green, but we don't care about that. Another Nethergoyf. Will you stop it, opponent? And a Bowmasters to ping down our Bowmasters. The classic. 4, 5, 6. So they can block with all of these on the Barrowgoyf. Yep, you take out my green source. Hopefully that doesn't matter. This one is slipped away a little bit. They've just drawn a lot of threats. Don't think Wasteland is the one here. If they block like here, like we need to attack is the problem. I think they can block with Nethergoyf and these two. We get a lot of their stuff off the board, but then they're still way ahead. I would take this trade if I were them. Unless they're worried that the last card in our hand is a fatal push, which is why I didn't play it out. They might just block like this. No, they're definitely adding the other blocks. You wouldn't block with this, you block with your Orc Army token. Well, they're blocking with both Nethergoyfs. That's weird. Because we get to kill them both here. We kill them both and we gain some life. I'm going to hold this, I think. So they're on 4. We don't need a lot to get through. But there is a big scary dragon. The 1-2 body of this halfling's pretty good. Did you top deck a Barrowgoyf? No, they just bring back a Nethergoyf. It's only a 2-3. It's still a little bit concerning. We need a big hit here. Katara Waterbending Master. This is not a big hit. I think we still play it out. It attacks. But next turn they crack us with the Murktide. Okay, they're going to 3. So no fear about what we can do to them. Which is honestly reasonable here. They are very far ahead. I thought we'd gotten ahead of our opponent in such a big way, and then they just played like 3 really good turns in a row, and we kind of faltered and just drew like Wasteland. And obviously we knew we were drawing the Delighted Halfling because we put it on the bottom with the Brainstorm. Still not ideal. I think our opponent has us in this one. Katara Waterbending Master. We got nothing that we can save ourselves with here. What looks good? A Barrowgoyf. I also like removal spells. I don't particularly want to be doing 2-for-1 stuff here. Just got a bunch of removal spells. We're keeping the Daze. Do you want like a Miser's Force that we can dig for though? I'll take a Miser's Force we can dig for. And just have more removal and just hopefully have a slightly bigger body selection than our opponents. And then that should be enough. I wasn't far away from winning the game last time. It just kind of fell apart at the last. I don't really want this Force of Will on my opener. Okay, Polluted Delta. This can get either our basics or it can get us our Surveil land. And start growing the Barrowgoyf for when that comes down. Undercity Sewers from our opponent. Tamiyo. That is a pretty good card. I will... This can get us our basic blue source. This gets us our basic black source. I will deploy this. We've got Daze or Force of Will to try and protect it, and then we can just ride the cards from this to victory in theory. A fatal push, you say? I think I'm willing to trade this Force of Will. Because as soon as we start accruing cards with the Tamiyo, we start pulling ahead. So currently we're a card behind. They got another fatal push here. That would be unfortunate. It's a Nethergoyf. Would I like to Daze the Nethergoyf or would I like to just play a Barrowgoyf? I'm sorry, we can't Daze. We just use our Daze. What am I talking about? We can fatal push this in the end step. We can do that on our turn. And then maybe pave the way for a Daze. Yeah, I like that. Let's go and get this Underground Sea. Try and bin off this Nethergoyf. Let's get a clue. That's just banked. They didn't Daze our removal spell. Oh, they're thinking about stuff here. I'll get this Tropical Island. I could just crack this now. I'm gonna go for this Barrowgoyf though. Just see if we can accelerate out. Our opponent's got less counter magic because you don't keep in a lot of counter magic in this sort of mirror. Because we are kind of like a mirror here. We're both sort of blue-black tempo-ish. We're going slightly bigger, more controlling than our opponent. We've got more interactive elements at 1-for-1, so it should favour us, especially post-board. I think our opponent's probably going to have 0 to 2 Force of Wills maximum. Right, they shuffle off that Ponder. If we get to connect once with a Barrowgoyf, that's obviously huge. If we get another clue off of this, then it's going to put us further ahead. Now, our opponent does still have a grip full of cards. Murktide region is something we're not prepared for. We can answer Barrowgoyfs, we can answer Nethergoyfs, we can answer Tamiyo either side as well. We might be able to flip the Tamiyo next turn if that's the thing we're interested in. We have options. They're just going to fatal push. What do you take out here? Probably the Barrowgoyf, right? Yeah, it is the Barrowgoyf. Makes sense. But we still have the Tamiyo. We are behind on cards, but we can catch up here if we want to. I'm going to crack one of these now. Another Tamiyo. I don't really want to crack this clue and flip the Tamiyo. I prefer it in the clue mode at the moment. Every card we get brings us closer to winning this game, in my opinion. Whereas ticking this up might not get it done. There is a Wasteland. So they could Wasteland something and then play something in the second main, or they could go for like a Kaito here. That would be pretty strong. Feels like they're going for an Orcish Bowmaster. Do I care if they Orcish Bowmaster here? If they double Orcish Bowmaster, I do care. That's one of the reasons why you wouldn't crack the Wasteland, in case you had a double Orcish Bowmaster. Let's go to attacks. We're getting another clue. There is an Orcish Bowmaster. I will draw a card. They will flash in their second Orcish Bowmaster. I did not do that. Okay. They're doing it so we couldn't flip the Planeswalker. That's the timing of that. Then we're going to hold up this Bowmaster. We can maybe ambush this in combat. Trade off Orc armies. Playing around a Daze, which is likely to be in our opponent's deck more than Force of Will. But it looks like they got Force. Alright, we've got 2-for-1 with our guy. Take a little bit of damage from the Bowmasters, but that's fine. We've got an answer for the Bowmaster. Oh, it's going to be a Kaito. That's why they were so big on it. So now they've got their big card drawing engine card. Except they're pushing damage while drawing extra cards and we're not. Feels like we don't have a Haymaker quite as good as this. And we've got no Murktides in our deck either. A Wasteland isn't really going to help here. I will blow this guy up so we can draw a card. Wan Shi Tong. Let's get a clue. I could flip this into a Tamiyo, which doesn't immediately die to the Kaito, even if they plus it, and then we can kind of get our opponent on the hook for that maybe, and then blow them out with a Wan Shi Tong at some point. Is that better? This plays around a Bowmaster if we crack it now. Right, I'm going to try and crack this now. If our opponent gets distracted by our Tamiyo, then our life total gets to last a bit longer and maybe we leverage this really expensive thing. Now if this was Murktide, that would just be better, wouldn't it? Let's be honest, it'd just be a massive guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can do this for 2. So we draw 2 cards. Sorry, we draw 1 card. We end up with a 3/3. Our opponent can shuffle their library with fetches. So they're going for the emblem here. This makes it a 4/5. It attacks the Tamiyo for 3. But Tamiyo lives unless they have Bowmaster here. And that just completely ruins our entire hand. 3 mana. This is just a big Barrowgoyf. If this was the Murktide, it would just get tapped down by the Kaito though. Let's bring back another Goyf. 3 cards in our opponent's hand still. That's more cards than I really want them to have. Daze. Are we going to be able to leverage this Daze? That remains to be seen. I think this is going to be a time for Wan Shi Tong to shine. By shine, I mean do very little, probably. I do like the design of this card. It's just, I just don't think it's a legacy power level card. Shrinking their guys here. Let's go for Wan Shi Tong. We've got a Daze to back it up, but I suspect if our opponent has some permission, it's not going to be countered by a Daze anyway. Alright, we're in. They're going to Bowmaster. Because this is a trigger, so they can just Bowmaster it when it's a 1/1. It doesn't enter with those cards. Yep, here it comes. Oh, it's blue mana. They're just going to petty theft it. We still draw some cards though. And we're going to lose the Tamiyo. Now we can make the same play next turn, but our opponent is drawing extra cards off their Kaito. We just don't have a top end threat that's as good really as Kaito or Murktide. Barrowgoyf is close, to be fair. They're very different though, because Murktide is just the biggest thing, the biggest game in town every time. Alright, we have a Daze that is kind of live for our turn, so we could try a Wan Shi Tong on our turn, but then it's just going to get tapped down, so it's not really the time you want to cast that. I would like to deploy a Tamiyo, and then we will Wan Shi Tong. I could flip this, but I don't think that's really where I want to be. It's just another block our opponent has to think about. We can play this in the combat step, so our opponent doesn't get an opportunity to Kaito it down, and that's about the best we have. Like, I can't see Katara ever attacking through what our opponent has. Katara's going to look good against the decks that don't really play to the board in terms of creatures, you know, like your Mystic Forge and your Cloudpost decks. But against a deck where they've got like 1 mana guys that can just block and kill this, it's not going to work out for us. They haven't used the Kaito ability yet. They do have Hardcast Force of Will as a potential there, which is something we could blow out with a Daze. So crack this Polluted Delta first. They might try and bait us into playing the Wan Shi Tong, which they can then tap down. That would have been an interesting line. But they're in the attack step now. The amount of time they're spending with this attack makes me think they don't have an immediate answer to Wan Shi Tong. Oh, they didn't even attack. Okay. I'm a fan of that for us. Do believe that our Wan Shi Tong is going to get to do its thing. When we play this, our opponent will be forced to crack this Polluted Delta as well. Let's crack this Misty Rainforest. We'll go and get our basic island here. This won't flip our Tamiyo, because we're only going to draw 2 cards here. They could make us flip their Tamiyo if they wanted to. 3. We're going to play in a Brazen Borrower. Okay. They want to get their creature in before we draw more cards. Seems reasonable. An Orcish Bowmasters. Well, that takes care of this guy. How do we take care of this Kaito, though? It probably involves brainstorming, doesn't it? And all of our removal is sorcery speed. Can we make our opponents search their library here? We could Wasteland their fetch land, but I don't think they'll bite on that one. I think the plan here is we attack Kaito with both of these, and then we make our little clue, and then we're going to brainstorm. Okay, we didn't find what we were looking for. Although I do like some of the cards we have here. We'll put this one back. Back a land. This will flip. Then we get a clue. And then I will go for this Bowmasters. I will ping down this Borrower. Just means that our Wan Shi Tong gets there. It does have Vigilance though, which is an interesting combat object. For sure. And now we can slam Big Daddy Barrowgoyf. Plus the Tamiyo. Do I get a Katara in as well? Sure, I'll stick a Katara. Currently not doing anything. It's just a 1-2 that can't attack into their much bigger guys that cost half as much mana. I struggle to see the source of Katara when Tamiyo kind of exists and just does the same thing but better. Right, they would like to kill my Wan Shi Tong. Unfortunately for us, we can't do much about that one. We can just daze something just to get a counter on the Katara so we can start looting. But if the Katara attacks, the Katara dies. We don't always... Like, the looting, at least is optional. So we're not forced into drawing cards for each experience counter. Okay, they're going to Surveil rather than tap down our Barrowgoyf. We haven't lost a life this turn, so this is just a Surveil 2. This is going to be a Bowmasters. Looks like a big Murktide Regent coming our way. We don't have an answer for that. We do have a Brainstorm. We have 1 card in hand. Doesn't feel like they're attacking here. I'm going to trade a Barrowgoyf for a Kaito. That's not the worst. A Brainstorm. Do we crack the clue first and then start brainstorming? I think that does sound like a reasonable plan. Let's draw a card. We can daze here if we need to. Underground Sea. Alright, Brainstorm. Do your best. Spell Push probably not the one. Fatal Push is better than nothing. We'll put back the land. And probably the Daze can go back here. And we can crack this. Let's get another one of these. I think I will cast an additional Brainstorm. We are also on 8 life here, which is a bit of a doozy for us. I'll put these back. I'm going to attack Kaito, I guess, with our Barrowgoyf. I'm going to gain some life so the Murktide doesn't kill us in one hit. Or shut off our fetch lands or whatever. So then we can get back some stuff that doesn't really matter here. We can get back a Force of Will. And then we just have to kind of deal with what's in play right now. We can plus this. Just force our opponent's attention on it, I think is reasonable. And then I can drop this Tamiyo, which can block if we need it to. And then in our opponent's turn, we can cast Wan Shi Tong, which will give us an experience counter. I wonder where the experience counters go on the interface on Magic Online, because I've never had an experience counter online before. We don't want to play this until in combat, because our opponent can just tap it down. It's probably just going to come in and be a chump block. Just cast this for 2 mana, it's fine. We could have done it in response to their Polluted Delta and drawn a card through our pile. If they go after the Tamiyo, we don't necessarily have to fight that. Right, Ninja's getting bigger. Actually, all the guys get smaller. An Orcish Bowmasters, you say? I'm going to respond. I need to make it 1 bigger, don't I? So it doesn't just die to the Bowmaster here. Oh, the experience counters go over here, do they? This won't draw us a card. But is a 2-2. So now they can Bowmasters wherever they feel is correct. Our little Orc army goes under the bus. You got it. And these are all coming at Tamiyo, are they? If they all come at Tamiyo, that's not actually that bad. We can just let Tamiyo die. And just get some free value with the other bits and pieces here. So we can just block here and here. This kills the Tamiyo, this kills the Tamiyo. And then we can Fatal Push the Orcish Bowmaster. So we take one of their things off the board. We lose our Tamiyo. But we have another Tamiyo that we can probably get going quite soon. A Barrowgoyf. Did any of our permanents go into the graveyard this turn? I don't remember. I don't think they did. Okay, so we're going to have to fail push this on our turn. We can Wasteland to set it up, though. We know we're drawing a land that we don't particularly want, though. We don't have another Surveil land, but we can crack this to shuffle. We're almost out of lands now. Fatal push this guy. Wan Shi Tong cleans up the... I don't really want to draw extra cards here is the problem. So this comes at Kaito. This comes at their face. Do I need to keep this here in case I have another Murktide and can grow this out of range? Maybe. We can attack with this at them. We don't have to draw extra cards. This is the May. So I'm not going to draw extra cards here. Yep, so blocking the Barrowgoyf. We gain 3. They take 1. They lose Kaito. We have the Spell Pierce that's going to be stinking up our hand for a bit. But they can't draw extra cards without losing their Bowmasters. We can't draw extra cards without losing our Bowmasters. I think our board is fractionally better than our opponents, but it's close because this guy is so big. A Thoughtseize. Am I okay with just... There's no point. Oh, I should have played this because I could have got the counter on it. That was just bad. I was thinking, oh, there's no point to do that, but there is because we have experience counters. They're going to bring back this Nethergoyf now, which is going to shrink their graveyard but grow their Barrowgoyf because they remove this Thoughtseize. So I have a 9 power guy now. It was annoying that we had to use the Fatal Push on the Barrowgoyf. I think that just is the thing we had to do. They have 4 types. They get rid of Creature, Land, Planeswalker, Sorcery. Yep, so Nethergoyf grows a bit. Do I take 9 here? Do I block with my Tamiyo? There are some options here, aren't there? I think we probably... I think we take the 9. They don't have any direct damage. We can get a little bit more damage out of our Wan Shi Tong before we get rid of it. A Delighted Halfling. We can go to attacks. We attack with this because it's got Vigilance. I can attack with this and it gives us a clue. Is that important to me? That is a difficult one to know the answer to. I think I'm going to leave the Tamiyo back on blocks. Alright, we just gain some life here off of the Barrowgoyf. I think we're just going to play out any bodies we can. Having uncountable stuff down the stretch might be useful. Unlikely to be the most important thing going on. I think this is going to be Tamiyo blocking this turn. And then we can keep this Wan Shi Tong around because it can play attack and defense. Under the bus you go, Tamiyo. If we hit with this, then we're going to be enough life that we're not going to be dead to the Murktide. We need a banger, really. That was not a banger, was it? So we can attack with these 3. This is just going to block here. But if they do that, then this probably goes under here. I'm not going to draw extra cards because they got this Bowmaster and we just died to it. Okay, the Tamiyo is going under the bus. The Katara is connecting. I really don't want to have to lose my Wan Shi Tong here. I don't think we have a choice, though. It's just got to go. We're keeping our Wastelands around in case we need to get Fatal Push to kill a 3-drop like a Barrowgoyf in the future. There's no point just firing off. Like, what am I going to do with that? Just firing it off randomly. Whereas Trigger and Revolt could be huge. Or maybe take them off of Hardcast Force of Will at an opportune moment. If I don't block this, I am dead to Orcish Bowmasters. So we do have to block. As much as I despise that. The Owl was okay. We should have an extra experience count compared to what we do have. A Bitter Triumph. And they're losing life for that. Okay, that's pretty good, isn't it? Delighted Halfling. So this kills us next turn if we draw cards with Katara. But if we don't draw a card with Katara, what are we doing then? We're dead to an Orcish Bowmaster. Our opponent's living off the top. So we send with the whole team. They can trade here and take 2. And then we play... We're not going to draw any cards here. So if they trade off Bowmasters, which I don't think they will do, we put ourselves in a position to win this game. So we can attack for enough damage to kill our opponent next turn. They need to remove something from their graveyard or kill our creature. Alternatively, they can hold back on blocks. No, that still doesn't work, right? Because we have enough blockers because they didn't block last turn. Yeah. Like, the safer line there is to leave 2 blockers in case they have a removal spell and just attack us with the Orcish Bowmasters. But I don't think that beats the Murktide Regent that often. So we've gone for a line that actually gives us a win. Or at least a stab at a win. Is this only game 2? Could be a long league, this one. Doesn't feel like our opponent has an easy answer to win this game. The amount of time they pause when they only have one card in hand. What is your solution here? They've got to have something. Or they're dead. Black. If it's a Bowmasters, that's real good. 3 mana. Is this a Barrowgoyf? Oh, don't be a Barrowgoyf. Oh, okay. They were just going to bring back another Goyf and then it didn't work. Alright, we tied that one up nicely. We do have to try and win a game in 3 minutes though. Which seems difficult. That does seem difficult. How can we change things? Our deck's not great at winning quickly. Okay, we're just going to go in on forces and off of the Dazes. The reason for this is we just need this game to be quick. So we're probably just going to hemorrhage card stuff, make sure they work, and then just try and get that. Okay, we need to play this one quickly. Okay, Undercity Sewers from our opponents. Basic Island, Tamiyo is our play. We've got a lot less time on our clock than our opponent. And we do have enough time to potentially win this game though. Our opponent's tanking for a long time in this fetch land, which is helping us recover some time again. Right, here comes the Tamiyo. And we'll pass. We've got a Force of Will if we need it for anything. Black and black. What is this? I think we counterspell this. If they have a Daze, they have a Daze. Tamiyo is just too important a game object. Just get in there. Play this one out. I think we crack this now to avoid Orcish Bowmasters. We've got a Brainstorm so we can protect it if we want to. Maybe we just need to go upstairs with the Tamiyo, and that's our route out of this one. Orcish Bowmasters is pretty good. We have an answer for it though in the Go for the Throat. The Wasteland is good. We can get Swamp. Attack the Tamiyo. We'll hold it, let's Go for the Throat. They don't have the mana for Kaito. We just take 2 here. So they do end step if anything. Or second main phase. That card's pretty good, isn't it? I'm just going to Brainstorm this. Annihile Spellbomb. Do I care about that? We need to decide very quickly. No, I don't. I would like to go for the Throat the Bowmasters. I hope this resolves. It did resolve. Attack with Tamiyo. Tamiyo's going to touch butts there. I'll play out my land. Should play out the other land. I'm just playing quickly here. Okay, these are good things. We'll put... I guess we didn't really want this Katara, do we? Put them on top like that. And then we're playing the Race to Tamiyo Ultimate game. It's a classic. Ponder, you got it. We need to kind of hold up the Spell Pierce as well as cracking a clue, so we can't just F6 the entire turn. Hopefully the Spell Pierce will do enough to stop them removing our Tamiyo. We also have to worry about Bowmasters on our part. Right, we've got another Spellbomb going through here. Okay, so now we get to snuff this Tamiyo out and we can Spell Pierce to protect it. Nope, it just worked. Cool. We lose our graveyard, so Tamiyo is very much just on going upstairs. If they have an answer for Tamiyo, we need to Spell Pierce it. Hopefully they cast something that we don't care about and we can just crack a clue. Crack a clue. 5/6, that's a pretty big boy. Plus this. Play this one out. Crack this. We'll go and get a Tropical Island, it's fine. Let's leave up our blue mana. Cast Big Daddy Barrowgoyf. Mine's better than yours. And now we're on Protect the Queen mode. I think if we can draw our entire deck, or half our deck, our opponent might scoop. So it becomes lights out there. And we also have all these forces in our deck. But they might just play it for us timing out. So they're both coming at Tamiyo. This looks like an attempt to get a Kaito in, which will impact. We can't Spell Pierce it because the ninjutsu was an ability. So they're going to be able to put a little bit of damage on this Tamiyo, but they can't Surveil and draw a card here. Alright, they're just going to stun our guy. That seems rude, but reasonable. Okay, we want our opponent to crack a clue or something and give us a window to get some more damage into our opponent. Sure, you have an emblem. Just going to come in at Tamiyo, I guess. Our opponent's trying not to lose the game, and we are trying to win the game because of the time differences on our clock. Just ping our opponent's face. So now they've got this clue they can't do anything about without giving us some more damages. They might just make us... They might just draw a card so we get more things. They're trying to... Sure, you can kill that. That's fine. It's going to be a Big Daddy Murktide. We will draw a clue in response and see if we can hit the force. I think our opponent's done enough here though. The quality of our threats, like stuff like Wan Shi Tong is no Murktide Regent. Assassin's Trophy, that plays here. That certainly plays. If we cast this Wan Shi Tong first, and then we fail, then we Assassin's Trophy. If they get a land here, we get a card from the Wan Shi Tong. I just don't think we have time to finish this one off. I'm really curious to see how this game will go. I think we are winning this game with a little bit more time. We're just a little bit slow on the clock. That's what happens when you talk for everything when you're playing a long, complicated deck. I think we might have had this one, though. Not a bad showing for the deck, but we did certainly feel Wan Shi Tong not being a Murktide region and just being big, although it certainly did some stuff by being vigilant as well. Right, let's go to round 2. This is the hand where we say, how good is Katara? Is it good enough to keep a hand that looks like this? We're on the draw, so we can find some more action. We have a Surveil land for turn 1. I think this is not great, and we would like to draw a Brainstorm, but I think it's still keepable. We could also just Wasteland our opponent and maybe they never get to play the game. I'm cool with doing that too. Delighted Halfling, does that change anything? I don't think so. Let's take this Wasteland and see where we go. Next turn we can go and get a Bayou and deploy this Delighted Halfling. They want to spend counter spells and they're going to have to spend on the Halfling instead of our real spells. So this allows us to cast Snuff Out this turn cycle as well as deploy the Halfling. And then we can use this Halfling to play Katara, which we are going to play over Tamiyo. Even though Tamiyo is better, I would like to see what this Katara can do. If the board state changes to a point where it doesn't seem like it's a good idea to cast a Katara, then that's obviously going to change things. Fail push. Goodbye. This feels like our opponent could be playing just like a tempo matchup like last round again. So now we're kind of incentivized to play around our opponent's Daze. And we just cast a Tamiyo. We are representing something like a Veil of Summer. I don't think our opponent will respect that, and if they have removal, they'll just kill the Tamiyo. It's a Bowmasters. That does not get hit by the Snuff Out in our hand. That is a problem. It also shuts off pretty much everything our deck wants to do. We're going to need to find a Fatal Push to really get this game going somewhere for us. Looks like we're about to get hit by a Kaito. I'd at least like them to have to remove the body permanently. Yep, here it comes. So we're just going to get beaten by the deck that's just a better version of what we're doing by the looks of it, which is kind of what happened in the last round, although we were close to winning that last round. But yeah, it's going to be a Kaito, and then all of a sudden we're under so much pressure from this. We can't interact with it very easily. We did board in things like Assassin's Trophy, which can answer it. That's something we've got access to. But they're drawing an additional card every turn. We can't draw additional cards without incurring a serious penalty in the form of this Orcish Bowmaster. Wan Shi Tong. This can block the Bowmaster and maybe kill it. That is probably what we're doing, isn't it? Oh, I played the wrong land. Whoa, that was bad. I will attack and get our clue. And we're going to play this Katara around a Daze. That's our next best option. This can stop the Bowmaster from doing its thing. Maybe that is actually slightly better than playing the Wan Shi Tong into trying to kill the Bowmasters there. Because now we can send them both sideways and then have the Wan Shi Tong around a Daze. So we can make it a 2-2 that doesn't draw us a card, and then it gets to block the Orcish Bowmasters. And that's probably going to be a little bit better for us. However, all the cards in this Kaito are just going to absolutely run us over. I could block here. I don't think that's great for us. Kaito is just going to run this game. A Tamiyo. We can snuff this out, and that gives us an experience counter. Alright, let's make a clue and do nothing with our Katara. Yep, Tamiyo's touch butts, as is tradition. If our opponent plays a fetch hand, they might be able to randomly wreck us. I assume they're going to get an Undercity Sewers. Oh no, they've already gone the Undercity Sewers. They probably don't have a second one, so they might even fetch it in step. So we can Wan Shi Tong, but then we draw an extra card when they fetch. Another guy. Could you stop it, please, opponent? These clues looking pretty bad for us. Now it's going to be a Wan Shi Tong as a 2-2 to hopefully block this Bowmasters. They can crack this fetch land and make us draw a card and pump our guy. I don't know what that's actually going to do to the maths here. Okay, we're getting a trigger on Katara, so that's something. Not that we can utilise these in any way, shape or form. Alright, they're drawing a card with their clue token. Must be nice to be able to do that. We can obviously do it, but the penalty is substantial. 3 cards left in our opponent's hand. We can just take all of this. Now they get to draw an extra card with their Kaito, and we can probably just wrap this one up. I'm not even sure what we can draw here that takes us anywhere. I think we're just going to save time and just go to the next game. I can kill this. We go to 1, and that feels like a disaster. I think we're just going to go to the next game, board in our Barrowgoyfs and our removal spells, and then we'll board out these Force of Wills. We'll call that a day, I think. Right, we're on the play. This one is not Keeper, is it? This one will have to do, I think. An uncountable Katara that we can't really feed anything with. But our whole deck is designed to play off this Katara anyway, so we should be able to find something to work with it. Be interested to see how good this card is in a matchup where our opponent doesn't have creatures. Because at the moment, this is just an unusable creature, is all it's been for us, really. Carpet of Flowers, yep, obviously excellent. It's surprising to me that we're running a green deck that doesn't have these in. Just such a great card for any deck that can run green to run. Okay, we got a Thoughtseize. Oh no, it's just a Fatal Push. A Brainstorm. I think I'm going to fetch an island and hope our opponent doesn't daze us. They're going to end up with a lot of mana here. But I want to be able to play on basics. Alright, they had a Daze. Yeah, we are just not going to get through this game very well, are we? We have a Brainstorm, maybe we fix up our hand. Our opponent can add enough mana to do whatever they want here. They can play a Barrowgoyf this turn, or a Orcish Bowmaster. There's the Orcish Bowmaster. That strips away the last plan we had available of using this Brainstorm to get some better cards. We are somewhat outclassed. Alright, sometimes the only way out is right through. Let's Brainstorm. Keeping off these. Wow, I hate this. I hate this a lot. Can go basic Swamp. Let's go to Katara. This is much better at blocking the actual Orcish Bowmaster itself. Because even if they have a spare Bowmaster later on, then it's not going to be enough to ping this down alongside the blocking damage. Brainstorm from our opponent. So they're going to just absolutely run us over, I think. If we can remove their Bowmaster, maybe we can get some action going with this Katara. But it does seem difficult to get this to do anything, which was one of my reservations when I saw this card. People kind of were like, oh my god, it's so good, you can draw so many cards with it. But that's not really what we've been experiencing with it. Now, some of that has been being locked down by Bowmasters as well. But we do have to jump through hoops to get it to even loot, let alone draw additional cards. Okay, we have to get rid of this so we can Brainstorm. If our opponent cracks this and plays another Bowmaster. I don't think we're going to be in a Snuff Out world, are we? Put Wan Shi Tong on top. Let's play our Delighted Halfling. So 1/2, 1/2, 3 mana. So our Wan Shi Tong will be a 4/4, so it will trade with the Orc. That isn't really good. But it does draw us a card. An Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy. Oh, we don't have any of our basics left, do we? Awkward. Yeah, our opponent's just doing a better thing of what we're doing, really. We've got these cute cards like Katara when they've just maxed out on the good cards. Kaito, just hard casting it. They get to bash us for 4 and then they get to loot. I will have a Surveil, I guess. I wonder if they just pump this. If they pump this now and pump it next turn, then they get to win the game with either of these creatures, right? I guess they can pump it next turn, and if we crack this fetch land, then it's still good enough. Yeah, you go ahead and Surveil. That is too much. We were never in this game at any point. Undercity Sewers. Assassin's Trophy, that doesn't do it. What do we need? We need Super Duper Toxic Deluge that kills Planeswalkers but also doesn't take loads of life. Okay, we got absolutely crushed that time. It was a bit more competitive in the first round, but this was not at all. Alright, let's go to round 3. We're on the play here. Okay, I can live with this one. Got Halfling into Katara, and we got a couple of things with Flash that we can get going. It's going to get ourselves, I think it's probably Tropical Island. Here comes the Halfling. Next turn we can have Uncountable Katara. That would be very handy. Or it might do nothing. I guess we'll see. If our opponent plays a body that's just big enough to kill it in combat, then maybe not. But hopefully we're not playing against some sort of blue-black mirror. Okay, a forest. Something different is occurring. A green sun zenith. Alright, our best play is now to shoot this with a Orcish Bowmaster. And get Surveil land. No, we can't get Surveil land because we need black mana. So this is Orcish Bowmaster, kill their guy, attack for 1. A buy from our opponents. We could be looking at like Cradle Control. That had a very good weekend just gone. A White of the Reliquary. That will be better than our creatures. We have Wan Shi Tong, which could do some really interesting stuff this turn. I think it is better to do Wan Shi Tong than it is to do Katara. Wan Shi Tong will cantrip, draw us a card, and just continue to do other bits and pieces. I don't really want more green mana. I think I'm just going to get another one of these Underground Seas. We're going to cast it now so our opponent doesn't really have a window with their White of the Reliquary here. I don't want to play this weird chicken of when they activate their guy and when we want to do our thing. So we're just going to make our threat. It flies. We have Counterspell in hand. If they do anything with their White of the Reliquary, we get to grow our creature. So this should be very, very good against this specific matchup. Green Sun Zenith, White of the Reliquary, Fetch Lands, Natural Order, all of them will draw us extra cards. Obviously, the Natural Order is unlikely to draw us a card because we're going to just point a Force of Will at it. But you never know. Right, we're about to draw a free card here because they're cracking a Verdant Catacombs. A Badger Mole Cub. This gives them additional mana, but it's just a 2/2. I guess they can Earthbend something. My experience with this card so far, there's a video coming out that you've probably seen actually by the time this comes out, where I played the Badger Mole and it didn't feel amazing. It does give them a little burst of mana here. But again, we have Force of Will for the thing that we care about. Another White of the Reliquary. I don't think that's why we're fighting. Our creature is pretty big. And it has Vigilance. Let's get Katara in. Then we have Wan Shi Tong as well. If we have a need for another one. There's no point making this uncounterable because our opponent doesn't run counter spells. Just crack in the air with our Vigilance guy. If something of theirs goes to the graveyard, their whites will become larger. But the only real way they have of putting stuff in the graveyard is sending it in and then we can block it. Okay, so they're tutoring for a land with this White of the Reliquary. So they're ramping out here, but they're also giving us more cards with our Wan Shi Tong, which also is going to grow with their activations here. Guy's Cradle. You have plenty of mana. An Orcish Bowmaster. That is an interesting one, isn't it? That can give us a couple of experience counters this turn. One from Force, one from Bowmasters. This could just be a game that Wan Shi Tong can solo, you know. It's already been good for a couple of cards off of what our opponent's doing. Natural Order is the scariest thing our opponent has access to in their deck. They can only really leverage it if they Thoughtseize us first. 4 mana. Nope. I Thoughtseize first. So I want them to see our hand. I'm going to protect our hand because I think if they just send it here, we're in trouble. And this is the best way to try and stop them from sending it. There's a Windswept Teeth. Are you going to crack that and give us another card draw, please? Natural Order, sacrificing the cub. Green Sun Zenith, X equals 3. What is X equals 3 going to be? I don't know. We're thinking about it as if we have a Force of Will, just so our opponent thinks about us having a Force of Will. It's a Grist. That's going to grow our little friend. They're going to sacrifice something to try and blow it up. They are indeed. Goodbye, Owl. Could play another Owl and just continue that train. I think I quite like that. It's going to get us some more experience. Not that we can ever attack because our opponent has creatures and this card just physically can't attack into creatures. It needs like Menace or something. Keep this one that isn't dying. We don't draw a card from this, but we have a 2/2, so we can clean up their Grist. It also means their White of the Reliquaries never get a chance to give them anything without us getting something ourselves. They can't crack this fetch without us getting a card. We've got Bowmasters that we can do some stuff with. Certainly helps with Katara, but Katara's just not great for us right now. Yeah, you can attack for 4. You can attack with both of them. I think you should attack with both if you're going to attack with one of them. Sure, you can have this. We've got a lot of life to give still. Alright, deck, we need you... I was going to say we need you to provide a banger. And boy, howdy did you deliver right there. Okay, let's go for this. I guess we attack with Wan Shi Tong first. It's going to attack Grist. No flying over there or reach or anything, so it's just sails through. We go 1, 2, 3. We get Big Daddy Barrowgoyf. That is a large customer. And then we have access to this Orcish Bowmaster as well as a Surveil Land as turn cycle. If they start cracking anything, Wan Shi Tong draws us more cards. The Grist being a creature does mean their whites get bigger. If they want to block here, they could sack this to... They could tap it to sack another one to grow this enough so that it trades with the Barrowgoyf, which is honestly fine. Right, they're not doing anything here. I'm going to crack this and get a Surveil Land. And have a little think about what we see on top and how we want to use it. We don't want this, so that can go away. Don't want to just play our Bowmasters right now. I think we can get better use out of our Bowmasters, to be honest. I'd like to go to attacks here. I don't think we're ready to pitch our whole hand to Katara and just let her die. We'll do that at some point, I'm sure, though. They're just going to let us connect with a Barrowgoyf. They are. Wowzers trousers. Yes, please. I would like to mill and get something sweet back. I'll take back another Barrowgoyf. Much like the One Ring, Barrowgoyf just finds more copies of itself. We'll leave these cards in hand so we can loot them away. I think we have a pretty strong command. I'm sure Natural Order can mess us up though. That card is pretty spooky. Well, it's more the attractor that's spooky that comes out the other end of it. Alright, we got the game. Wan Shi Tong felt pretty good there. What would I like access to here? Barrowgoyf is better than their creatures. Removal spells are good. There is some amount of stuff we might want to force to consign to memory, but I'm not really sure if that's where I want to be. Dazes aren't very good against what our opponent's doing because they have so much spare mana, and that's quite an easy 4 for 4. I think we can probably leave it at that. It seems like a lot of the tools we have are already good in the matchup. Spell Pierce, being able to hit a Green Sun Zenith is cool, but I just don't think the Dazes are ever going to convert, especially on the draw. Yes, they are trying to resolve a 4-mana spell, but they know that we run Dazes, or at least, I don't think they've seen them actually, but they can probably intuit that we have them. And they're just going to play around them anyway, where they've got mana dorks and badger moles, so they're going to have mana. Yeah, we got removal spells coming out of our ears. That's where we want to be. Force of Will can be useful as well, but just having 3 removal spells for stuff, like, we should always find a target in their creature base to kill with an Orcish Bowmasters. That is a Windswept Teeth. I much prefer their fetch lands when we have some silly little owl out that draws us cards every time they do it. Thoughtseize, here it comes. No, Green Sun Zenith. You got it. I could try and hit this. Is that where I want to be though? I think I'm just going to get an Underground Sea and start working with this Tamiyo. We've got a Snuff Out we can use. I don't really want to use it just on this Dryad Arbor. This is something that the Orcish Bowmaster is going to clean up in a turn or so. They could have like a Badger Mole Guy's Cradle turn, but we do have a Force of Will to stymie that somewhat. Right, no Cradle. So that's step 1. Just a Green Sun Zenith for 2. It's a Grist. Don't really want to tangle with a Grist, do I? Let's just say no to that. We are losing our Brainstorm, which is a pretty real cost here. But we have a good turn that we can follow up with. We get to Bowmaster this down and hold up Fatal Push. So not Fatal Push, Snuff Out. And we will do this proactively. Goodbye Dryad Arbor. We start accruing some card advantage here. They probably have like a Collector Roof in their deck. They almost certainly have one in the main. I think that should be in the main of every Cradle Control deck, really. Whether or not they keep it in. It does host clues, but that's about it. But maybe that's enough that it's just like a fine body as well. Alright, this dies to Fatal Push and then we get another attack in. Lair of the Hydra, not bothered by that. Let's Fatal Push this. Play a land. Attack and accrue another clue. Our opponent might have a Bowmaster, but they also might have stuff that we want to Fatal Push. So I think we're just going to hold up these clues. If they do have a Bowmaster and we get caught out by it, that's fine. If they don't do anything though, we don't have to actually crack the clues. But the Bowmaster is already going to be good because we have a Bowmaster. And that's a good thing to ping down. Keen-Eyed Curator. This is a good option to use a Snuff Out on. Talongate of Madara. What are you going to phase out? You're going to phase out my Tamiyo. I will crack a clue here. Do you have the Bowmasters? They did not. We don't have to snuff this out now. We can do it on our turn. A Barrowgoyf. Okay, let's snuff this one out. We have more removal than some of the other sort of blue-black tempo decks. If they flash something in that's spooky, then so be it. But we're just going to drop a Barrowgoyf. Like, Atraxa is going to be something they can get if they, let's say, have a fetch land for Dryad Arbor. They can Dryad Arbor, Natural Order, get an Atraxa into play. We can attack into it with a Barrowgoyf, which is something. But they can just take the damage, but then we get to draw more cards, which might end up being a problem. But no problem this turn. We're going to see with the rest of their mana. A Zenith for 1. So this is going to be Sylvan Safekeeper, just to keep their white alive. It is the Safekeeper. As suspected. An Assassin's Trophy. Let's... We have several different ways we can approach this one. I like sending this Barrowgoyf into our opponent's face and seeing what they want to do about it. You're going to let me gain 4 life. They are going to let me gain 4 life and potentially draw a card. I should attack with a Tamiyo as well, actually. Alright, let's mill. Katara, some sort of Waterbender, or Barrowgoyf. So I can make our opponent sack some lands now, or I can just drop another Barrowgoyf. I think we're just going to try and overload our opponent with Barrowgoyfs. We can't guarantee that our Trophy and Fatal Push are actually going to do what we want them to, whereas Barrowgoyf is always just going to be a big boy. We could see some kind of natural order this turn. Now, not all the Cradle Control decks are running natural order. I think the most successful builds are the ones that aren't running natural order right now, but that doesn't mean our opponent is doing that. But they have a lot of the cool, spicy one-offs, like the Keen-Eye Curator, the Grist, the Sylvan Safekeeper. It certainly feels like they're going to be running the extended Green Sun Zenith package instead of a natural order package. All right, feels like we've got another Green Sun Zenith going on the stack here. This is for 3. That could be for a second Grist. Oh no, it's just a natural order. So it's going to be an Atraxa. We can Assassin's Trophy this and continue to swing. Let's see what they find off of it. Generally speaking, these decks don't get that many hits because they're pretty creature dense. So they're going to get instant sorcery, creature lands. They're going to get 4 out of it. That's pretty good going. I assume they're going to take the Cradle. They haven't played a land yet this turn, so they can fire him with the Cradle, unless they want black mana to Cabal Therapy right now. The Cradle can be a Dismember, but that's not going to kill a Barrowgoyf. If they don't get this Cabal Therapy, then I think we win this game. They need to get Cabal Therapy, cast it, and then probably flash it back using White of the Reliquary as well. Otherwise, our clean answer for this Atraxa will just win the game for us. So what do they get? They got the Cabal Therapy, the Dismember, the Gaia's Cradle. Okay. And what was the creature they got? Badgermore Cub. Okay, so they can sacrifice this to bring it back and then phase something else. They can protect their Atraxa that way. So we have to do a slightly convoluted line here. So we have to Fatal Push this first. And then we see what they target with the Talon Gates. One of our Barrowgoyfs. Try and nail this Atraxa. Okay, so our Barrowgoyf is going to get phased out. We get to attack with Barrowgoyf and Tamiyo. They can trade their white for our Barrowgoyf. I don't believe these lists have Talon Gates in. Oh, sorry, a second Talon Gates. They just have the one, and I haven't seen Echoing Deeps in them. These are all things they could be playing, but we're just going off of like the average number. So they're going to block here, then they're going to sacrifice this and turn it into a land. That is A-okay with me. All right, now they're going to dismember this, and we're going to be trading here, but we're going to gain a life. Oh no, we're not going to gain a life. This is going to become a 0-1 now, right? But we took 4 life off of them. All right, lots of stuff going on there. Apparently on 6. Yeah, like we knew they had the dismember, so we knew that was a possibility going in. We're getting Cabal Therapied. That's not a particularly high impact spell here. The board is where everything is happening. And most of our hand is just protected because most of our hand is just in clues right now. I'm going to get our Barrowgoyf back. They probably trade with the white. I don't think they have Sejiri Step in their list. Will be a pretty clean trade. This has Vigilance though, so it can attack this turn and force us to chump with an army. But we can start building up the Tamiyo soon, and then we can try and get back a removal spell. They named Assassin's Trophy, and now they are Green Sun's anything for 2. This is going to be the Collect Route to shut down our clues, I assume. We were talking about this earlier. No, just a Fiend Artisan. Where is my Wan Shi Tong? Alright, do I want to take 8 damage? I don't think so. I will gain 8 life by blocking. Spell Pierce, not at its strongest right now. Let's draw a card off of this clue token. Tropical Island, also not the one I wanted. If we attack with a Barrowgoyf, gets a bit awkward. We could play Protect the Queen, but this Fiend Artisan is just going to do so much work. Okay, I think are we going to get another clue first? We should get another clue first. Are we going to attack with our Barrowgoyf? Is the next question. This can trade with anything, but we just allow them to set up. We kind of want to put them on the back foot here and just believe in our clues. All right, I'm going to believe in the power of clues. Are we just trading here? We are just trading. I'll take that one. We're going to flip our Tamiyo. Or Fatal Push. What a perfect draw that was. Let's shrink their little guys. Let's kill their Fiend Artisan. And now we're in Tamiyo gaming mode. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. If we get to untap without being knocked off our current position, I like our spot because we can just cash in a couple more clues. All of a sudden we got close to full grip. We got a Planeswalker that can just go and get us whatever removal spell we want, or Force of Will if we're in that sort of situation. Although Force of Will is pretty bad when we know they've got a Cabal Therapy in the bin. An Ignoble Hierarch. You are going to pump the Badgermole Cub or the Lair of the Hydra. They could attack with both. This only attacks for 1 though. This will attack for 1, 2, 3, 4. If I can do maths. X is 4. So it's only going to attack for 3. What are they going to attack? If they attack us, we just don't block. If they attack Tamiyo with 1 guy... Right, so this will deal lethal to our Tamiyo. So we will surrender our Bowmasters. Bowmaster's not actually very good against our opponent once it's in play. It's really good coming in and sniping something. This doesn't have trample, does it, randomly? No. Okay. Yeah, it's good coming in and sniping like their dorks and things. But where it really shines is in matchups where they're trying to draw extra cards and you can just punish them for that. Okay, we have a Brainstorm here. I could... Okay, we're going to get back a Fatal Push. Then I'm going to play a Tamiyo. I don't think we need green mana on this turn. Play a Tamiyo. We've also got the Bayou that we can use. Then I'm going to cast a Brainstorm to flip this Tamiyo. Force of Will is okay. I don't really want to have all of these cards, but that's fine. We can do it like this. We flip our Tamiyo. Plus the Tamiyo. We crack a Clue here. We draw that fetch land, which allows us to shuffle the other things. And then we've got Force of Will plus Fatal Push to get us through this turn cycle. That's alright. I do the same move as last turn. Then Tamiyo just takes 1 damage again and they lose their Lair of the Hydra. Thought Seize. Interesting. Okay, we're going to kill this Badgermole Cub. I guess that's step 1. They probably float off the cradle now. And then they're going to crack here. And I'm going to Spell Pierce them, I think. Because if they use mana this turn, it's actively good for us. Because the Spell Pierce isn't going to do anything. The Force might, but they just take the Force anyway. So we'll use this Spell Pierce. See if our opponent wants to pay. Because they know we have Snuff Out in our deck. So they might be inclined to pay here, which means their guy's going to be smaller. We could have Fatal Pushed in our turn, but I wanted the opportunity to maybe hit the Lair of the Hydra. This is also going to put our opponent to a low life total. Right, they pay and they get to take our Force here. So now 1, 2, 3, 4. So this comes in for 5. This will wipe the Tamiyo. This game has been pretty good. This Cradle Controller does seem to keep grinding. The build I played on the channel I didn't particularly like, but the ones that have actually been winning events or like placing well certainly look a bit more impressive to me. This is going to wash out with the Hierarch, which is going to be enough to take out our Tamiyo. And it's going to be us drawing a card off of this Clue. Assassin's Trophy. Right, we're just going to... No, we're not going to do it with a green mana because we have a green spell in hand. Let's Bowmasters shoot down this Ignoble Hierarch. If our opponent spends their entire turn doing Lair of the Hydra, we can just Assassin's Trophy it. I don't think there's anything else. Like, they have other creatures like Fiend Artisan and White the Reliquary who will both be pretty good here. So they would be very worthwhile Assassin's Trophy targets. Badgermole Cub. I don't really care about that too much. What are they going to target here? If they target their Lair of the Hydra, then we Fatal Push in response. We Assassin's Trophy in response. They're going to target their Talon Gates of Madara. You got it. It's a 1-1. You're going to fire up that Lair of the Hydra now, because this taps for additional mana because of the Badgermole Cub. Okay, we're going to blow this up before it becomes a creature. Because when it becomes a creature, they can tap it for 2 mana. They can only tap it for 1 mana here. We need something off the top, actually. We are falling behind a little bit. Our average draws are going to be better because we've got a bunch of cantrips in our deck, though. So we can just find some stuff. We don't have as many cantrips as... Oh, Wasteland. You are a turn too late. You made us waste our Assassin's Trophy. Alright, I'm going to play out this Wasteland. I don't think I want to hit this. Do I want to hit this Cradle? It's worth some mana, but... Like, our opponent has all the mana they need anyway. I'd rather save this to hit threats. There is a Wasteland that our opponent has. We're going to get attacked, presumably... I will trade these for off for a Badgermole if they give us a chance, because these guys have done their job already. They're like chump blocking sort of guys. Oh wow, that is an absolute banger. Alright, we'll pass. And this game has suddenly turned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we get 2 cards out of it. Right, no, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we get 2 cards out of it. Noble Hierarch. Sure, they have 1 card in hand. Are they going to go to combat? They are going to go to combat. It's Owl O'Clock. It's a big owl as well. Alright, our opponent did not like the owl, and we managed to put a matchman on the board. So this is a matchup where our specific weird cards like Wan Shi Tong actually have a lot of relevant text, whereas the first couple of rounds was not the case. And we were just playing a mirror where our opponent's deck is more efficient and just has individually better cards than us. Alright, on to round 4. Oh, Brainstorm. You've got a lot of work to do in this hand if we keep this. A couple of 3-drops we can't cast. Alright, I'm going to keep it. We don't have to Brainstorm till turn 2. So we get to see 4 cards, so we're odds on to hit But we can just go basic island. If this wasn't a basic island, I don't think I keep this hand. But because it's a basic island, we know we're not going to get wasted off of it. And we also have the Spell Pierce that can maybe get us through a first turn cycle if something really scary happens. Nothing super scary over there. And now is the turn where we untap, we cast a Brainstorm, and we hope that it works out for us. We can win and lose the game on this spell. Well, I think we know which of those two options it is. Unfortunate. We'll put back a couple of Barrowgoyfs that we're never casting. And that is probably game. A Plains. If our opponent's like a really slow deck, then maybe they're slow enough that what we have here can get the job done. There is a failure. We don't get to interact with that. We go to clean up. What are we going to get rid of here? Probably just a Halfling. This is the least representative card in our deck. A Quantum Riddle that's going to get blinked. Alright, I think we'll just scoot this one up. Is that true? I really want to scoot this one up. I guess we'll wait and see what the top card of our library is after we draw this other Barrowgoyf. It does feel like we're going to be dead pretty soon though. But you know, we've got answers for the failure. The old Quantum Riddle are a little bit harder for us to answer. But they are full cards. Alright, let's go to clean up. I don't really want to discard anything and show our opponent we're playing black. Or Spell Pierce. I think we just concede rather than show them any information here. Sometimes you keep the one land cantrip hand and it doesn't get there. I think I would still keep that again, given the opportunity. Alright. I would like some answers to their spooky things. Just some big guy that they have to respect. How do I feel about our other cards here? Snuff Out looks excellent, which is unusual, because it doesn't normally look excellent. I don't really like Katara very much, especially in decks that have creatures, but we're here to try and see what this card does. So that's what we're going to test out. Spell Pierce is okay here. It's like Spell Pierce, Daze, Force of Will. Somewhere in this pile we're cutting cards. I don't like the Force of Will that much, and I would like to cut some of them. Maybe we'll cut Daze. The Spell Pierce aren't going to help us with too many things. And then we're just going to get rid of those and just try and win on the table with a sort of smattering of free permission. It's much easier to get these to fuel the Katara, which is something we want to see happen, but just is not viable really. Okay, we have a Brainstorm that can solve some of our problems. We've got Misty Rainforest into Surveil Land as our turn 1 play. Got 2 removal spells, so we're not going to get killed by any one creature really. And is a Tundra. Here is our Undercity Sewers as our only Surveil Land. No, we don't need more lands. A Barrowgoyf. I'm okay to Brainstorm here. I like the Tamiyo quite a lot. I don't think we need this basic. Are we just going to put 2 lands back? 2 lands back. And then I don't think I want... I think I'm just going to get another Underground Sea here. This feels like we're playing into a plow though. They haven't seen that. They've seen that we're playing blue. And they've seen we've got Delighted Halflings. So they probably have the plows in. Yeah. Don't like that exchange. We could have at least made our opponent tap out in different timings. But that's a plow that's not pointed at our Barrowgoyf. If our opponent just passes here, we can also snuff out their failure. We could try and get the Katara running. Or we could... If we get the Katara running, that does play around Daze though. And we'll get the Tropical Island, and we'll get this Katara Waterbending Master going. I don't think this is correct necessarily, but I would like to see this in play. Playing around a Daze isn't too shabby though. And this gives us access to a lot of interaction still. Our opponent's having to read this one. Don't worry, opponent, it's not as good as Failure. Failure basically draws a card on every attack. This sometimes will draw you a card, but also won't grow and won't attack for more. I think my thoughts on Katara are somewhat coalescing. That is a Windswept Heath. We can play Teferi and bounce our Katara. And then we're just kind of left there holding the bag. Nope. Are we going to Quantum Riddles? Or is this just a Prismatic Ending on our poor defenseless creature? Which again is paving the way for Barrowgoyf to do some good stuff. A Narset. Alright. That's a weird one for us to interact with. A Swords to Plowshares, you say? I absolutely love that for us. Yeah, everything is awful. I guess we attack the Narset, so at least if they minus it, they don't get to keep the Narset and stop our additional card draws that we may be able to do something with later on. Okay, here is a Barrowgoyf around a Daze. We're still holding up. Removal spells. We need our opponent to play the removal half of their deck, please. Sorry, not the removal, the creature part of their deck, so our hand actually does something. We could have Assassin's Trophy the Narset. I'm not a big lover of that as a play for us though. A Thundertrap Trainer. That's annoying because it's not good enough that I want to spend any action on it. There is a Brainstorm. There is a Tamiyo. That is worth spending action on. Snuff out this Tamiyo. Alright, you're going to plow my poor little Barrowgoyf. Oh, am I really going to fatal push this Thundertrap Trainer? This means that our creature does start drawing us cards as well. Because we can Assassin's Trophy this. Is this tapped or untapped? Onto the battlefield. Put it on the battlefield so it's untapped. That's could be a bit sketchy. Let's attack this with Assassin's Trophy. We are hemorrhaging cards here. Our opponent is way better at drawing cards than we are. A Force of Negation. Sure, I will bounce back this Underground Sea and Daze that. Get out of here. So now we actually get to draw cards with Katara. Unless our opponent just gets a planes and plows like that. But please don't kill my creature. So now we attack with Katara. This is the first time we're actually going to be able to use the ability. It's taken us 4 rounds to get to this position. Or, alternatively, we get to do absolutely nothing with it. Wowzers. So now they've got a whole turn and a Brainstorm to try and find an answer to our Katara. If they don't know and we get to do our thing, then we could be alright. But our opponent knows we've got nothing in hand. It's just this Underground Sea. Alright, Tamiyo, that's pretty good. We can still attack into it and draw some cards. Oh, there's a Caracas. Get wrecked me, I suppose. They're going to bounce it now. They are indeed. They have no cards in hand, though. Let's try and take this one out while we know it's going to work. Am I going to play Katara? It forces them to tap a land down every turn. Like, it's all we've got. And we have big X-Spell, so we don't mind playing our lands out, so we can play our funny little owl. Prismatic Vista. This would be a great time to draw the owl. Are you kidding me? Maybe they'll just F6 for our turn 1 time. It's still right to keep playing this out, but drawing another Katara absolutely stinks here. The owl at least draws us cards. If they Caracas it, we can just keep drawing cards with it. So I think that's worth playing. But we have 2 legends of the same names. We can't overload the Caracas. We can't ever get the value we need off of this card. Alright, they've just got a land. They're playing them instead of keeping them in hand, which is a choice. I think I'm going to leave this tropical land in hand. We can represent Force of Will blue card. We also have access to Brainstorm, which can mess around with the cards in our hand a little bit. Are they going to keep this card or are they going to bin it? They're keeping it. That's probably bad news for us. Alright, it's a failure then. Anything else they probably play here? Are you kidding me? Many Kataras. Well, I think we are playing our lands out now because we have so many Kataras. That Caracas. There's probably a singleton in their deck. It might be a 2 of actually, because they have a lot of synergy with it. Oh, wow. They're burning a plow on the guy they already had checked with a Caracas. That is a very wild play to me. You don't need to do that. Force of Will. Here is our Katara. They can bounce us at the end step. And away it goes. Where is my owl? There is my owl. Okay. I like the owl. Our opponent has 1 card in hand. We have a Force of Will to back this up. I don't like this very much. Get out of here. Because this will draw them additional cards because they're low on cards in hand. Alright, so now we have something that bouncing with Caracas is actively bad. Am I going to play around Daze here? It's the same either way. So we may as well play around the Daze. We still draw 1 card from it. Alright, it's owl time. Oh my god, a creature. I'll play this Delighted Halfling out. Now, what does our opponent have that they're not playing, right? You're going to bounce with Caracas or are you just going to take the damage? They're going to take the damage. They would rather us not draw additional cards. That's interesting. But I think we hold up mana just in case they do decide to bounce it. This Katara is pretty bad. Alright, nice. Now they can bounce this and not be too worried. We do get to draw additional cards if we cast on our opponent's turn. There is that. And there's not really the incentive to cast this for very much. Just enough to draw 1 card on our opponent's turn is fine. Our Katara is invalidated by the Narset. We can jab the Narset with our Halfling. They shuffled off the Ponder. It's not looking amazing for us. Another Wan Shi Tong. Now we're going to attack everything at Narset. At the very least we put 1 damage to it. I suspect we just get Caracas here. Right, back to the hand with you. Let's cast a Katara. This can attack our opponent's creature. We can draw 1 card from this Wan Shi Tong in our opponent's turn. I'm trying to work out what is in our opponent's hand. A Teferi. Okay. I would like to draw a bonus card, please. This does give us another experience counter. Not that that's the most helpful thing. So we get to draw a card here. Consign to memory. We get to draw 0 cards. And our creature gets to remain the same size. Teferi presumably bounces something. Could bounce their own Narset and then redeploy the Narset. They're just taking some more cards off the Narset. Which is such a slog. A Brainstorm. But now we have the ability to draw cards again. Whenever it attacks. So even if we attack the Planeswalker, we still get to do Katara things. They have to hit the Katara with this. They're not bouncing anything. Yeah, they didn't bounce anything. So they either have an answer. Okay, they're going to get rid of our Wan Shi Tong. This is going to bounce our poor little Katara. It is tough out there, isn't it? They're going to let us attack or they're going to bounce. Oh, they're going to let us attack. That feels like a miss to me. Because this draws us a lot of cards. The first time... Oh, they got another consigned to memory, haven't they? No? Okay. Okay. So we need to discard a card. We'll discard a land. Teferi seems very good against what Katara actually wants to be doing. Let's cast a Bowmasters, something that is traditionally very annoying for Teferi decks to deal with. Let's put a point on this Teferi so it can't bounce anything. Let's deploy a Wan Shi Tong, I think. Blue, blue, and a couple of mana here. Let's draw some cards. We can't flip the Tamiyo this turn even if we wanted to, because we drew loads of cards off the Katara. That's how we found the Tamiyo. We're going to Swords to Plowshares, my guy. They got no cards in hand. I don't think the Felia deck gets to run Supreme Verdict, so we're just going to put a bunch of very medium creatures into play. Sure, you bounced my Katara. You probably should have done that when we went to attacks. I feel letting us just draw 2 bonus cards was a pretty significant turning point. Right, they have nothing. We get to clean the Teferi this turn. Tackle creatures at Teferi. We've worked our way through this one. All right, the game is over now. Our opponent has had enough. They want enough time for a game 3, and I appreciate that. We saw more stuff that I actually want these Spell Piercers for. And before, we're also just going to take out some Dazes and upgrade them to things that actually work. So we'll take another Force and we'll have both of these Spell Piercers back. Single land and a Brainstorm. Did we see any Wastelands? I don't remember if we did. I will keep this on the draw though. We've got some good cards. A Ponder from our opponent. Would love to find a land on our next draw. Not a land. I think we just have to get the Underground Sea so that we can still snuff something out like a Felia. Because that's just run away from the game here. We've got Tamiyo, so maybe they don't Wasteland, or maybe if they do have a Wasteland, they take it out now. But their deck has quite high mana costs, so I'm not expecting as many of the sort of Wasteland variety of things. Sure, we lose our Tamiyo. Please draw a land deck. They have a Tamiyo. Okay, we're going to try and hit this on... Okay, we could play the Katara and then try and do this. Or we could just snuff this out and make sure the Snuff Out resolves on the Tamiyo. Because we can use Spell Pierce to pay to stop them from doing it. Okay, so now we're just going to play the Katara. We can Brainstorm and Spell Pierce on our opponent's turn. If they Wasteland our Underground Sea this turn, I'm not having a good time then. Brainstorm, they could still Prismatic Ending and finish off our Katara. It's entirely possible. Obviously, they could plow it as well. It's not really doing anything this turn cycle, so I don't think they have any urgency to deal with it just yet. They can see how much we try and invest into it moving forwards. Our opponent agrees. A Barrowgoyf. I would really like to Brainstorm here. Can I find some lands? Oh, no. That sucks. Okay, I guess we put this one away and this one away because we can't cast either of them. That's Wasteland. This probably tells our opponent exactly what we have in hand. In terms of mana, at least. Because they're going to know that we don't have a coloured source. Because why would we play out a Wasteland when we could play out basically anything else here? Felia. Alright, this is just going to jump in the way. They touch butts and are fine. But now this can just do whatever. And this is a very good example of the difference in quality between someone like a Katara versus a Felia or a Tamiyo. They just do the thing, right? Like, yes, Felia requires you to have something else to blink. But even if you're just blinking out creatures, you know, it's still getting in for damage. It's still growing. It's a slightly better body than a 1/3. It has a load of utility, just like blinking out constructs or whatever. as well as just, you know, resetting all your cards to draw more cards with. The old Caracas, eh? Not a fan of the old Caracas for us. Let's get rid of this Caracas. Are they going to bounce my Katara? They are going to bounce my Katara. What a shocker. The other option we had there was to just play a Barrowgoyf. I'm happy to just play the Katara out. Alright, we're getting a plow for our troubles. Our opponent's pretty low on resource, and they didn't have anything to immediately play with Failure, which they definitely would have played last turn if they did. So flooding out a little bit. We could Brainstorm next turn and see 3 fresh ones. Our opponent might actually counterspell a Brainstorm. Okay, let's see 3 fresh ones. Come on, deck, I believe in you. Okay. We're going to mill away this Delighted Halfling. And then what do we want to keep? I guess we can pitch a Wan Shi Tong to Force of Will. So we'll put this on top. And then the Delighted Halfling. Then we'll Undercity Sewers, mill over the Halfling. And then next turn we can Fatal Push this Failure with Spell Pierce and Forcible backup. And hopefully grind our way over. We need our opponent to not have an absolute banger this turn. We can obviously use Force of Will to stop them getting anything like super scary. Because they're going to have, what, 3 cards in hand? So there's a land drop. Or we could maybe get this with a Wan Shi Tong next turn. That would be exciting. Alright, we're doing some blink action. I think we are just supposed to nail the Failure before it gets out of hand, though. As much as I would like to get this extra Wan Shi Tong value. Okay, we're just going to pass this turn. Because they can just blink out the Barrowgoyf, so there's not the most amount of use playing it. If they have just a sudden Containment Priest and they get us. Do I want Wan Shi Tong to draw me an extra card right now, or do I just want to kill a Failure? I think I just want to kill a Failure. Are they going to get a Meticulous Archive? They could make the calculation that their land is less valuable than our Wasteland. Fatal Push this turn, and hopefully that stabilizes us. So what would our opponent have in hand? Probably removal spells. Wan Shi Tong isn't drawing us a card, but we are holding up the Spell Pierce. So I think we can just Wan Shi Tong in their end step. If they trade 1-for-1 with this, that's fine because that's just a 1-for-1 trade. We're getting it out of our hand. And maybe they have to trade with it on some weird timings. This is just going to be a 2-2 that draws us 0 cards. They plow it now if they want to plow it. Because then we only gain 1 life instead of 2 when the counter goes on it. Yep, this was bait. If we draw a land here, a Katara. Katara with a Spell Pierce and Force of Will backup sounds pretty good actually. This might be our moment to do things with Katara. Just a cantrip by the looks of things. It's just 1 blue they're putting into their pool. Oh, a Thundertrap Trainer. I don't particularly want to play against them getting another card deeper and getting a free body. So let's just take this one out. We get ourselves a little trigger here. Our Spell Pierce is very likely to be live this turn as well. Give us a target. No targets. So this can just cycle a card if we wanted to. Tamiyo. Pretty good card, isn't it? Swords 2 Plowshares. How many cards left in our opponent's hand? 2. I think I'm just going to just jump a Barrowgoyf in and be like, what can you do about this? They've gone through so many of their plows. Alright, let's drop Big Daddy Barrowgoyf. Alright, that's all of their plows now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we've seen all of their plows. We did deduce that they probably had a bunch of interaction in hand. Okay, it's a Tamiyo. Bet you wish you had one of those plows now. Although I think getting rid of the Barrowgoyf is 100% the thing you have to do as well. The Spell Pierce is going to be pitched to the Force of Will if we need it to be. Wrath of the Skies. Nope. I would like to keep my Tamiyo, please. Snuff Out. Not the most exciting. We've got ourselves a clue. I'm going to immediately crack this because if we make a land drop, and that just puts us in better stead moving forward. Okay, we've got a big boy for next turn. We have an engine up and running. Katara at least drew removal, I guess. Oh, this guy. Are we supposed to kill this? Prismatic Ending on our poor defenseless Tamiyo. This is going to draw our opponents so many cards. I think we just put this in the graveyard. And then it's back to Barrowgoyf Town. Because we just have to deal with the Quantum Riddle next turn, drawing them cards as well. It's just not worth our while. Spell Pierce again. Not really the one I want right now. Just keep playing threats, though. One of them has got to get through. We've got through Wrath of the Skies, 4 Swords of Plowshares, 2 Prismatic Endings. Our opponent might not have any more removal left in their deck. They probably have 1 Wrath of the Skies. I don't know if they're going to have a 3rd Prismatic Ending in their 2-colour deck. Probably not. So maybe our guys, they let a card on top. Are you kidding me? Just brick for us. Let us attack you once. Supreme Verdict. Hopefully we can draw a land and make this Wan Shi Tong do its thing. We did not draw a land to make this Wan Shi Tong do its thing. Okay, if they crack a fetch land, we can play Wan Shi Tong. If they do a draw spell, we can play the Bowmasters with Spell Pierce backup. Quantum Riddler. So this comes in, and then with this trigger on the stack, we're going to start getting in and then with this Bowmaster. I'm uncertain how much use we're going to get out of this Spell Pierce. If our opponent hardcasts a Force now that would be pretty exciting for us. Doesn't look like they have Forces in, it's just like removal. Alright, so we get some more pings with our Bowmasters. And they can't warp this, they can't play the backside of this until it's gone, so they have to wait till next turn, so they won't have a blocker for this turn. And surely they won't have more removal spells. But they've told us they are running Supreme Verdict, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I thought the deck was a lot more creature heavy than it appears to be. Another Quantum Riddler, could you stop it? This is only going to draw them one card though. But we get to pump in with some more damage here. But we're going to have to deal with some big Sphinxes soon. Consigned to Memory. That's pretty good, isn't it? Well, I guess we get to stop one of them. That feels not a great exchange for us. Quantum Riddler is just so good in Top Deck Wars, because when you're in Top Deck Wars, it draws you bonus cards for some reason. I'm not able to attack here. They can just cast that Quantum Riddler. So maybe that wasn't the best use of a Spell Pierce. Narset Part of Veils. Sure, why not? I think our opponent is run away with this one. They just are bigger than us. Okay, they didn't get anything off their Narset. Teferi Time Raveler. Play this Wan Shi Tong to not draw a card and just have a guy that does nothing. That doesn't seem good. I prefer my guys to do something. They can bounce the Orcish Bowmaster, or they can just go upstairs. Sure. And they can just sit behind their Quantum Riddler. I don't know how we're supposed to get out from underneath this now. We do have removal spells. Force of Will is not really the one here. It just took us too long to get our mana and interact with our opponent, I think. Wan Shi Tong, not really the one, is it? No point Wasteland, and we need this mana more than our opponent needs theirs. Okay, we get to ping down the Narset, so that if it draws a card, it dies. So they drew an extra card off the Quantum Riddler. Now we could be playing something like Quantum Riddler ourselves instead of playing something like Wan Shi Tong. The one matchup that's looked good in was the Cradle Control. We don't get to counterspell the Triumph because our opponent has Teferi in play. Okay. How are we ever going to beat this? I don't know. How are we ever going to beat this? I also don't know. I think we might be going to the final round soon. Our opponent's deck feels a lot more like a controller than I was expecting. They're bouncing our poor defenseless Bowmasters to draw a card because the way it works is the order of operations. So it bounces the creature, then they draw a card. So by the time they draw the card, this creature's not in play. So isn't there to trigger. So now they have a Quantum Riddler. This is going to draw them a card. Can I realistically beat it? I'm going to take one draw and then scoop, I think. Our opponent has turned the corner. They have lethal here in the air next turn anyway. We can play some rubbish little guy. Yeah, this isn't going to do it. GG's, opponent. There was some interesting back and forth. If we'd have hit our lands earlier, then we could have taken advantage of that bit where our opponent was not really putting a lot of action, but they did just have a bunch of removal. Alright, tough. Seems like their draw engines were better than ours. Let's go to the final round. We're currently trying to get a 2 and 3 record by winning this last round. Final round. This hand is a little bit sketchy. A 1-lander. We do have some stuff we can do with it, but we could mulligan and get basically the same hand pretty much because we already have a blank. I'm going to mulligan this. Be disciplined. Okay, we've been rewarded with a 2nd land. And what are we going to bin off here? Probably one of the Forces. We're not going to have all the resources to pitch to those. Maybe this is the game where we finally do something cool with Katara. We got one sweet draw off of it that probably won us a game, actually. Or was that the game we won, or did we lose that one? I can't even remember now. It was so long we were playing that blue-white matchup. Undercity Sewers. Okay. What flavour of Undercity Sewers are you? Are you doomsdaying? Are you doing something else, like Blueback Reanimator? Or are you just a tempo deck? Let's get this Undercity Sewers in. Fatal Push. I don't know if we want this card, which is always an awkward place to be. I guess we put it into the graveyard for now, and maybe regret that later. Wan Shi Tong. Okay, I'm going to hold up a bunch of interaction this turn. Bloodstained Maya. Still doesn't give us any more information, but suggests they're more... Okay, we got Grixis mana. What's going on here? Blue and blue. Thunder Trap Trainer. Let's Daze this. I don't want our opponent getting cards. It's probably some sort of Grixis control deck. Get this Bowmaster in. It might hit a Daze of theirs. Oh, we got a full-on Force of Will. Does that mean I really want to Force of Will back? If they don't want us to have this, I want us to have this, right? That's usually a good metric. Doesn't look like we're going to need that Force of Will for anything unfair. Our opponent's hand might just be cantrips at this point. Okay, let's get down and dirty here. Welcome to the bin. Enjoy my very mediocre clock. We're just not going to be able to hit them very fast here. But maybe they just don't get to play the game. Polluted Delta, how lucky. Alright. No cantrip though. I think they would fatal push before we can have a Daze online. Would love to have the mana for this Spell Pierce, but it's not the way. Fatal push, I can go to the graveyard. Just looking for lands. They might have their own Bowmaster, but then you wouldn't necessarily force of all that so aggressively if you already had a clean answer to Bowmaster. We could be seeing like a little small Murktide, but that'll still be big enough to keep us at bay. Blue and blue. Fatal pushes don't kill Murktide anyway. Feels like that's what's happening. There it is. This is going to be what, 4/4? Yeah. Not the best for us. We got some Snuff Outs though. Let's brainstorm. Katara Waterbending Master. We have to put 2 of these cards back. I guess we put back the Daze. And we can hold up the Spell Pierce. So they got us on a 5-turn clock. We got them on a 6-turn clock. So they are winning now. Just race-wise. So they should be able to smash into us. A Thoughtseize. Let's go and get an Underground Sea. Let's Spell Pierce this Thoughtseize. Protect our Katara. Because that could be something that gets us back into it. Although when all of our resources are diminished and then we play a Katara, it's kind of bad because how are we ever going to get experience counters on it? We've already spent all the cards in our hand because it's never the best thing to be doing. Alright, they pondered, giving us an additional point of damage. So if they attack now, we have them on a 4-turn clock. So they've now swung the race in our favour, so they have to stay back. They didn't shuffle that ponder though. A Misty Rainforest. I guess I'll play this land out and we'll deploy some bad card. I don't think this Katara is very good. That's my take. You'll get some more information about my take at the end of this league, of course. We can't attack into their massive yacht, so it's passing. They've got another land. What are we doing here? Blue and a black. We're seeing a Bowmaster. A Thunder Trap Trainer. This card is really good. Kind of reminds me of like when Augur of Bolas was a card that people were playing a lot. It's very similar in how it plays out. Badlands. We're going to have our Orcish Bowmasters hit. Yeah, that's the best creature we have. I can't remember if we're drawing a random card or not this turn. Brainstormed. Then we used the Misty Rainforest in the graveyard. So we shuffled after that Brainstorm. So we shouldn't know what's on top of our library. Go for the throat. Okay, we fire this off on our opponent's turn so we can start building the counters on our Katara. It means we're missing damage this turn. But it means that every subsequent turn is going to be better for us because we're at the very least going to be able to loot cards away. Possibly better. Firing a Thoughtseize or something would be nice for us. Colligan's Command. They're going to shoot our guy and make us discard a card. Ooh, Flame of Anor. Deal 5 damage to target creature. I'm going to kill their Murktide Regent. We still get the experience counter on us, so our additional copies of Katara later on will be better. But they've just drawn some cards the good old-fashioned way. Mystic Sanctuary, tapped. They can't tap with the trainer. Oh, land, that stinks. Are they going to save 2 life? Probably not, they're just going to take 2 damage. 8's plenty of life. That's a Tamiyo. Have you got a follow-up? Ponder. Alright, that is step 1 to getting the Tamiyo flipped. I'd rather have this for Brainstorm than try and marginally thin. Spell Pierce. Attacking here does not feel like a winning proposition. We're just going to attack into the Tamiyo. We may as well prevent them dealing 1 damage to us. But the real damage is going to be in the clue from the Tamiyo gets them. I doubt the Spell Pierce is going to be particularly useful. Okay, Tamiyo. You've got a clue. Maybe they're scared of a Bowmaster and they don't crack it. Looks like they're cracking it to me though. And they're cracking a fetch land first. That's a nice newer card on top with Ponder. We're just getting Flame of Anord again. I don't think there's much point in Spell Piercing this because they just pay. Now they've got Tamiyo Planeswalker. Yikes. Katara Waterbending Master. Here's the thing we have. Please try and remove it end step where our Spell Pierce actually works. I'm just going to crack the clue. Orcish Bowmasters. You know what Spell Pierce doesn't do? Interact with Orcish Bowmasters. Yikes. We're going to see Flame Anor again. Alright, this game is super duper over here. I don't know how we're ever supposed to win this one. So that was game 1. Let's get some Barrowgoyfs in. And I guess some Abrupt Decays for Planeswalkers seems okay. I don't really want to be doing Force of Will stuff, but I also don't really like the Dazes because our opponent's going to play around them quite a lot. But they do have 3 drops. Maybe keep the Dazes on the play. But Daze plus Big X Spell is such a weird way of building a deck. Hydroblast, actually, they look pretty good. I'll take a couple of those over some Dazes. And if we're having 2 Days, we may as well just have 2 Force because they're a nice thing that we can draw into. Okay, this is what we're doing. We didn't see Wastelands out of opponent's deck. Grixis decks tend not to have the Wasteland, like the Grixis control-y builds. I'm not really sure that we're supposed to have Wastelands in our deck, to be honest. They're good for turning on Revolt, though. We have a must-answer threat in Tamiyo, and we can follow up with a must-answer threat in Tamiyo, or a creature that I don't think is very good in Katara. We're going Lightning Bolted, Pyroblast. Sure. So now we have to make a decision with our Wasteland. Is our Wasteland better as a mana source, or is it better as a Tamiyo? Sorry, is it better as a mana source, or is it better as a Wasteland? I think we'll play out this Polluted Delta so we can just Surveil Land, and we're just going to get this Tamiyo in. We can get Surveil Land at end step. Maybe we can like Katara it whilst holding up Spell Pierce or something. Swamp. If we go and get Surveil Land now, it just tells our opponent the window is there to kill our guy. So we're going to try and play around that as best we can. Go attacks. Let's Wasteland and get this Katara in. We're going to sell the illusion of having a Brainstorm for as long as possible. Because if every turn that our opponent doesn't interact with it, we get to crack clues. An Orcish Bowmaster. Sure, you are playing the first Bowmaster. That's not where you want to be. We get to pop this with our own Bowmaster in a couple of turns. Brainstorm is good. Now we could have had our own Bowmaster instead of a Katara. Alright, our opponent was Brainstorm locked by the looks of things. And they just want to go to game 3. Because these games can be a bit of a grind. Do you want to do anything differently here? We've already taken the Dazes out. I think that's fine. Let's just go back in again. We can't keep this one. We got no working lands. Alright, Brainstorm, I believe in you. We'll put back a Trop. We're going to be brainstorming pretty hard here. A Scalding Tarn. An Abrupt Decay. That's an answer to an Orcish Bowmaster. We do have to decide if we're going to be playing a Brainstorm around an Orcish Bowmasters this turn cycle. I think we'll just see what our opponent does, because we have other plays available to us in the Wan Shi Tong that can maybe like snipe something if they go to crack a thing. Right, a Baleful Strix. It's good, but it's fine. I'm not going to crack a Brainstorm out now. Do it on our turn. Ooh, an Orcish Bowmasters. I like that. I'll play out Misty Rainforest and pass. They're probably going to be a bit cagey about when they play another Baleful Strix because we're holding open Bowmaster mana. But we have other options like Wan Shi Tong and all sorts. Alright, I'm playing something that's worth tapping. Thundertrap Trainer. I think I'm going to crack this. It looks like they're holding up Pyroblast. I'm going to go and get... They have a Wasteland, so I think I'm just going to get this Underground Sea. And then we're going to go for a Bowmaster when they don't have knowledge of what this card is going to be. Let's take out the Strix. And then they can Thundertrap Train. Yeah, this looked like a very obvious Pyroblast to me. So I didn't really want to play a blue spell into that. Or at least miss. Wow. I think a Nasa missed in our previous round. Not that it did us any good, but... Wan Shi Tong. I'm going to cast this Brainstorm before our opponent has a chance to have a Bowmaster. They could Pyroblast this, and they do. Yep, you got it. Now it's our turn to Brainstorm again. We have one card we want to put back in Wan Shi Tong number 2. Do I want this Delighted Halfling, or would I rather... The Delighted Halfling kind of offsets some of the green mana problem that we could have. It doesn't help us cast the Abrupt Decay is the issue. I think I'm just going to put Wan Shi Tong and the Delighted Halfling back. And then play this one out. So we've got ourselves a Spell Pierce. If we get a green source, we do expose ourselves to that Wasteland. Black. This looks like a Thoughtseize. No. 3 mana. Flame of Anor. This is very much going to be a spell we want to interact with. I kind of just want to get the Underground Sea. I think that is correct. They got 4 cards. They could have like a Daze or a Force. I don't know how many of those they still have in. Right, I managed to counter that. That's pretty good news. A Tamiyo. Let's go for Tamiyo. Let's go for Katara. Now we have a bunch of things they're interested in killing. We could have got a green source to do that Spell Pierce because they tapped out their Wasteland. And then untapped and Abrupt Decayed the Thundertrap Trainer. So they don't have a wizard. Okay, blue 1. So this isn't going to be a Flame of Anor. It's going to be... What's blue 1? Narset, maybe? That kind of blanks these 2 cards quite nicely. But we do have potential answer. Alright, they've thought about that and changed their mind. So we've got black mana in there. They just fatal pushing my poor little guy. And now they have a Ponder. Scoring Tarn. Is it time for them to use a Wasteland? I don't think so. I can't remember if we showed them green or not. Hydroblast. That is a bit of a banger here, isn't it? Attack with this. We don't need to attack the Katara. If they crack this at end step, we can flash in a Wan Shi Tong and get a free card. And we can also back it up with a Hydroblast that can counter a Pyroblast. Blue and blue. Is this going to be Murktide? I'd rather not see a Murktide here. I will cast Wan Shi Tong here. It's going to give us an experience counter, which is something we desperately want anyway. And they search their library here. They should have cracked their other fetch in response to the Wan Shi Tong, I think. Alright, we have a Snuff Out. That's pretty good news. Blue and blue. Is this a Murktide? We have that covered. Here's a Murktide. 2 cards left in our opponent's hand. Are we going to do it? They're going to Wasteland us here. I'm going to snuff out this Murktide Regent first. And then we're going to float blue. Alright, our opponent just had enough. Like, the Katara's got 2 counters on, so we do get to draw 1 additional card every turn. So we've got kind of 2 Howling Mines going in a grindy matchup like this. That's maybe just too much for our opponent to handle. So we finished with a 2-3. 2 of the rounds we lost were 1-2s. They were kind of against pseudo mirrors. I think those were the ones that were like the mirrors. I can't remember the exact order we played them in. One of the mirror we definitely got absolutely crunched in though. Oh no, this was the blue-white Azorius deck, and this was blue-red Delver, I think. Who didn't quite get over the end. So let's talk about the thing that everyone is interested in here, which is Wan Shi Tong and Katara Waterbending Master. I don't think Katara Waterbending Master is very good. You have to set up a lot of hoops to get this to do anything. Like, it just being a looter for 1-3, like a 1-3 looter, that's not very good. If you want to play something that has a similar effect, you could play Suspicious Stowaway, which is a 1 and a blue for a 1-1 unblockable looter. So when it deals combat damage, you draw a card and discard a card. But then it flips into a Whale, which is like a 3-3, and you just draw a card when it connects instead. I think that card is arguably better than Katara. This doesn't die to Orcish Bowmasters, but Orcish Bowmasters does just stop it from doing anything anyway, which happened to us. So you may as well lead into it and just have it be good. This never really felt like it could contend with the bodies that it was attacking into. It just didn't really do anything for us and felt very hard to set up. The Wan Shi Tong felt worse than the other threats that we could have had. So Murktide Regent cost blue, doesn't die to Fatal Push like this did a couple of times. It also is bigger than this. Now, this can draw cards, and in certain matchups, like Cradle Control, it's going to absolutely steamroller them, which is what happened in that matchup. But outside of that, I'm not really convinced this card is legacy playable. I didn't even have it on my list of 10. I thought this was something that'd be worth trying, and now I've tried it. I don't think it's good enough. But this was something that there may be a deck that wants this because it leverages the Katara, because it leverages the discard effect more, like a Reanimator style deck. But I think just using it as like a generic sort of draw piece doesn't really work compared to the better cards you can run Legacy. And that's the Wan Shi Tong. It's just too expensive to really get something good. Sure, sometimes it's 2 mana for a 2-2 that draws you a card. So it's kind of like a better Baleful Strix sometimes, which is okay. And I might play this again because I like birds, but I'm not really sure this is like one that you should have your signpost ready for in terms of big Legacy playables. The rest of this deck, I have some questions. Why are we a green deck? I understand we're running some good green interaction spells, but we could just play blue-black, have a better mana base overall, maybe have access to some different pieces of removal like Shoulder's Edict. I also quite like the engineered explosives at the moment, because you can just set it on 1, and then when you pop it, it will always kill a Tamiyo, because if they flip the Tamiyo, it's still a 1-mana permanent, so it's still dying. And it can also deal with Urza Saga constructs, which can be a problem. I'm not sure this deck wants to be a Wasteland deck. I think we could just run, more coloured sources. These obviously do turn on the Fatal Pushes, which is kind of a big deal, but we've got 8 fetches. We could easily swap this out for like 1 more fetch and 1 more Surveil land, and that'd probably feel okay. Now, like the green giving us Delighted Halfling, which gives us Uncounterable Legends, is, fine. And because we are a 19 land deck, this gives us more mana to make our Wan Shi Tong a little bit more impactful. It just doesn't really feel like where we need to be honest. I wouldn't mind trying to maybe play like a Wan Shi Tong in like a Beanstalk deck, perhaps. And then we play some... But then you're also just running your Murktide Regents and stuff like that, and Murderous Cuts, and you just end up with better bits and pieces, really. It felt like we were kind of hamstringing ourselves to play the fun cards, but we did find spots where the fun cards looked okay. Maybe not so much Katara. We had that one turn where our opponent forgot to Caracas us, and then we managed to draw 2. We drew 3 and discarded 1, so we got +2 cards. That was the one time it did anything, basically. The rest of the time it was just a 1/3 guy that didn't look very good. Like, Barrowgoyf just does better things than this on its own. You could just have more Barrowgoyfs and that would look better. But Tamiyo's still good, still wins games. Like, if you cut these 4 Kataras and give yourself 2 more Barrowgoyfs in the main, 1 more Bowmaster in the main, and then you have 2 more, I don't know, a couple of Ponders probably wouldn't hurt in this deck list, to be honest. I understand trying to maximize the experience, but if we're taking this out anyway, you can start playing things like Ponder, which really is the glue that holds decks like this together. Sideboard-wise, we certainly had tools. Like, the green tools are stuff we wanted often, but that might just be the matchups. Not sure if it's worth splashing. You can splash a different colour as well. Like, if you splash white, then you get better removal and plow, and then you can play that grindy control game, just having really flexible 1-mana answers instead of having stuff that you have to line up in the right way, like Fatal Push, Snuff Out, and go for the throat. So that's something to consider. All in all, though, I think this deck was fun, but not necessarily the highest level of competitive. And I'm not sold on these new cards, although I love the art of this card and I love the character in the TV show. So it'd be nice if this card was a little bit better. And you might see it again on the channel with something really spicy at some point, don't you worry. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, become a member of both my YouTube and my Patreon. It's all good stuff. Alright, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.